Daniel chapter 6, lesson 7, part 1 of 2. Darius has control of the Babylonian kingdom. We do not have a great deal of historical information about Darius. Darius, in fact, may have been a title or even a second name. He was a Mede. We know a bit more about Cyrus. Actually, Cyrus II or Cyrus the Great. He was king of the Persians, see chapter 10. There is a good deal of historical information about him. For years, the Medes were overlords of the Persians. Still, the Persians were semi-autonomous. Before Cyrus the Great, both the Medes and the Persians were expanding their empires. Cyrus revolted from the Median overlords, conquering the Medes by 546 BC. Still, it does appear to have been something of a partial takeover. There was a continuing law of the Medes and Persians. Cyrus went on to conquer numerous kingdoms, including Babylon. He defeated Babylon by 539 BC, and at least for a time, Darius ruled in Babylon as king. Perhaps Darius was a lesser king, with Cyrus as the great king. Darius was a great administrator. He set up 120 satraps, governors, over the various provinces of the kingdom with 3 administrative overseers of those 120 satraps. Daniel 6:1. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 satraps, who should be throughout the whole kingdom. Daniel was one of the administrators overseeing the 120. Daniel 6:2. And over them 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was one, and these satraps might give account to them, and that the king should have no damage. Daniel stood out among the administrators, so much so that Darius was planning to set Daniel up as the chief administrator. Daniel 6:3. Then this Daniel was distinguished above the presidents and the satraps, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. It is compelling that God chose Cyrus to restore Jerusalem and the temple by name more than 100 years before Cyrus was born. Isaiah 44:28. Who says of Cyrus, "He is my shepherd, and I shall perform all my pleasure," even saying of Jerusalem, "She shall be built, and of the temple your foundation shall be laid." Isaiah 45:13. I have raised him up in righteousness, and I will make straight all his ways. He shall build my city, and he shall let my exiles go free, not for price nor reward, says Yahweh of hosts. The other administrators and governors do not like the idea of Daniel as chief administrator. It seems they are jealous of Daniel, but they could find no legitimate charges to bring against Daniel. Daniel 6:4. Then the presidents and the satraps sought to find occasion against Daniel as touching the kingdom, but they could find no occasion nor fault, because he was faithful, neither was there an error or fault found in him. They determined that Daniel's zeal for serving God would be the only way to bring Daniel down, so they came up with a scheme. Daniel 6:5 and 6. Then said these men, We shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Then these presidents and satraps assembled together to the king, and said thus to him, King Darius, live forever. A 30-day period would be set aside in the kingdom that prayer could only be made to Darius. Daniel 6:7 through 9. All the presidents of the kingdom, and the deputies and the satraps, and the counselors and the governors, have consulted together to establish a royal statute, and to make a strong interdict that whoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of you, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the interdict and sign the writing, that it not be changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which doesn't alter. Therefore King Darius signed the writing and the interdict. Daniel continued his routine of praying 3 times each day to the true God. Daniel 6:10. When Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house. Now his windows were open in his chamber towards Jerusalem. And he kneeled on his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did before. So their trap worked. Daniel 6:11-13. Then these men assembled together and found Daniel making petition and supplication before his God. Then they came near and spoke before the king concerning the king's interdict. Haven't you signed an interdict that every man who shall make petition to any god or man within 30 days, save to you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered, the thing is true according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which doesn't alter. They answered then said before the king, that Daniel, who is of the children of captivity of Judah, doesn't regard you, O king, nor the interdict that you have signed, but he makes his petition 3 times a day. The end of Daniel chapter 6, lesson 7, part 1 of 2.